This is literally all you need to build a high-performing physique and maintain it long-term. I genuinely believe that because once I started applying these fundamentals, which I'm about to share with you in a moment, things changed for me in a massive way, and I've never looked back ever since. There's so much information out there on what to eat, how to eat, what to train, when to train, count your macros, caloric deficit, recovery, but none of these things matter if your fundamentals aren't right. Because what ends up happening is you don't even get started due to the overwhelming amount of information. Or you start and then stop 2 weeks later, a month later, or in my case, I just keep on training with no structure and not necessarily hitting my goals, just going in circles basically and getting away with it. I've been stuck in the same vicious circle for years, blaming it all on being busy, having a busy lifestyle, busy life because of my 9 to 5, thinking I needed a lot more free time to dedicate my life to fitness. And I used to think that that was the main problem, and I simply can't get there because I need to be on it full time. But it wasn't the case. And that is why I'm making this video. Because once I figured this out, fitness stopped feeling like a challenge, like a burden, and started actually feeling like something that improved my life. This is exactly how I started structuring things for myself. So you can take it and use the same principles and apply them to your own life based on your circumstances. By the end of this video, you know exactly the direction I took to build a good physique and a simple yet effective way of sustaining it. It essentially all happened for me in phases. So I'm breaking it down here in the same chronological order it unfolded for me. I started finding simple answers to the problems I've been dealing with. Answers that actually moved the needle for me and helped me start being consistent long term. Once again, this is literally all you need to get started or to even reset your fitness journey and start building your body from scratch to get to your fitness goal this year. So let's jump into it. So phase one was defining my fitness goal. Now, before answering this, there is something I had to understand first. I do understand how powerful it is to look in shape. It changes everything. The way you see yourself, your confidence, your energy, the way people interact with you is completely different. But what I started noticing is, especially being around this gym culture, is that a lot of people, including myself at some point, start prioritizing looks the wrong way. Chasing the pump, wanting to look full, veins popping, nothing wrong with that. But I realized that that gradually started affecting everything. The way I trained, the way I ate. I started chasing what I saw in the mirror. And nothing wrong with that. I think it is why most men get in the gym in the first place, including myself, and that is fine. But it made me completely ignore and deviate from what actually matters, which is how your body functions, how long you can last, real movement, real power. But that's a topic for another day. Point is, at some point I had to shift my perspective. Instead of just asking, how do I look? I started asking, how does my body perform? How does it move? How does it feel day to day? Because you can still get to your dream physique by actually building a strong, functional physique. Looks now becomes like a byproduct rather than the main target. Because at the end of the day, this is not just about looking good for a few months or making sure I look good in photos during summer. This is about my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, being able to move freely, having energy, living properly, living a quality life that allows me to be present and dominant in every aspect of my life. It's about longevity. That was ultimately my main goal. And I let the body and the looks just follow, if that makes sense. I didn't build a six pack because I worked on a six pack, for example, but because I worked on having a strong core. You know, the six pack just happened to be the result of the core work kind of thing. But anyways, we'll address that at some on a different video. But now with that being said, I still had a vision of what I wanted to look like. My weight, my muscle mass, my body fat, and how my clothes fit me. I had the vision clear in my head with metrics. So now the question was, what is my goal? So I wrote it down. I wrote the answers. Not what you think it should be, because we spoke about that, but what you actually want. Is it fat loss, muscle gain, both, a certain weight, a certain look, a certain level of performance? I basically wrote everything in detail on my notepad. Now, I had the vision, I had the target right in front of my eyes, and I want you to do the same. I want you to take a moment to define your fitness goal and put it on paper the same way I did. That is our first step. Now, After I defined my fitness goal, I moved on to phase two, which is lifestyle evaluation, evaluating my lifestyle. Now, this is where I ask myself, why don't I have the physique that I aspire to have? I know I got a potential, I know I got okay genetics to build muscle, burn fat, so why am I not there yet? This is where things got real for me because instead of thinking I was doing certain things right, I actually took a step back and looked at my life as it was, day to day, week to week. I did a deep analysis on my life and I started noticing patterns because the truth is, you can't fix what you can't see. I couldn't see my mistakes, so how can I tackle them? So ultimately, everything comes down to three pillars: recovery, fuel, and movement. I spoke about these pillars, by the way, on the first episode on how building habits around these pillars gets you to your fitness goal, which you can go back and watch it after finishing this video. Essentially, recovery being your sleep, fuel being your nutrition, and movement being your training and daily activities. So I started looking at each one of these pillars individually and tried to pick in where I was falling short before I could even think of a fix. Sleep first. When I really looked at it, I realized I was going to bed at 12, sometimes at 1, predominantly around 12 to 1, waking up at 7. Now, did I not know that? I did know the time I usually go to bed and wake up, but I normalized it so much that I never even questioned the fact that it was probably the main thing affecting me or blocking me from reaching my goal. Realistically, I was not even falling asleep straight away. Let's say I go to bed at 12. My mind was going in all sorts of directions. And I'm sure some of you will relate to this. I go to bed and then I got 1,000 thoughts and start clashing for some time. So funny because I spent all day being active and it is only when I want to go to bed that this shit starts happening. And sometimes it's the most random thoughts ever that made no sense, but they do exist. So I was probably getting 5 to 6 hours of poor sleep because I'd spent an hour overthinking stuff and another hour struggling to digest the food I shouldn't eat in the first place. So I wake up feeling terrible, looking like a zombie. You know that feeling when you're deep sleeping and your alarm rings, you jump out of bed not knowing where you are, heart racing, your cortisol spikes in a matter of seconds. You're drained, exhausted, and you go on and try to start your day. That was basically the pattern. And to be honest, my biggest struggle that I have suffered from for years. I could never hack it. So that was the main issue I had when it comes to sleep. Then comes nutrition. I noticed that the moment work got busy, everything fell apart. No hydration in the morning, just a shower and then straight out the house. Then during the day, short breaks, so I just grabbed whatever food was quick and convenient just to keep me going. And by the time I got home, I only had a time to make one proper meal. So I was never really fueling my body properly. And it felt like a never ending race that I was caught up in. And the problem is that I got used to it to the point where it became normal. You see the pattern? Same way again. Food was just literally something that I'd get when I'm hungry or just to give me some energy to get through the day. So whatever did the job for me. If I actually had the time, I'd have a beautiful breakfast, protein dense meal. I love breakfast, but if I don't, I'll probably grab coffee and a croissant on the way. Who cares, right? Just fuel to get me going. Then training. Now with my trainings, I was still working out 3 to 4 times a week, no matter what, because I had that mindset of no excuses. I'm gonna work out no matter what, no matter how tired I am, no matter how I feel. But when I really looked at it, was I progressing? Was I growing? Was I getting stronger? No, I was stuck using the same weights for so long, same rep range, same movements, same routines, because if sleep and nutrition aren't in place, training alone doesn't do much. I was just showing up basically, breaking a sweat, blowing some steam off, but not actually moving forward, not going anywhere. I realized I didn't need to fix everything. I just thought instead of overwhelming myself with so many tasks and things to do, why don't I just start doing one thing right in each pillar? Because then I knew, okay, my sleep is messed up because I go to bed at between 12 and 1 a.m. My nutrition is messed up because I eat randomly when things get busy at work. My training and my physique show no progress because my body is weak and under optimized due to the lack of sleep and bad nutrition. Boom. Now I know what needs fixing and I know what to look at. That is when I move on to phase three. Now, this is where everything started changing. in practice, because instead of trying to fix everything at once, I focused on building habits that actually fit my life. Not perfect habits, not ideal habits, but habits that made sense for me. Things I could realistically stick to that fixed the bad patterns, bad habits that I was trapped in. They I made them non-negotiables. Not because they were hard, but because they were aligned with my lifestyle. Because implementing these new habits was pretty much seamless and easy and natural. Hence why I was super confident that I could stick to these religiously with no extra effort, because they will actually optimize my lifestyle in the simplest way possible. So sleep first. For me, it became being in bed around 10:45, waking up at 7. And just that changed my energy completely. My focus, my recovery, everything felt more stable all of a sudden. 10:45 to let my thoughts wander as I want to give myself some time to relax before bed to read something. Then usually after 30 minutes I'm gone. I was already asleep. Then nutrition, I kept it simple. I focused on protein first. I didn't want to meal prep or meal plan, not just yet. I just made sure I hit my protein goal every day. So I made sure I always had quality whey protein at work. I brought the whole thing in 2 shakers and left them in the office pantry. So though I started the day with no food, I made sure I consumed protein at work till I get home and have a proper meal. So even on the busiest days, my protein intake was high enough to build muscle. Is it perfect? No. But compared to skipping meals or eating random processed food every day, it made a massive difference. Because first, I made sure I'm hydrated throughout the day with water and electrolytes, almost like doing a water fast, but consuming quality protein at the same time. That's how I started seeing it. Not perfect versus perfect, but better versus worse. Again, not ideal, but far better than what I was doing. And even easier to manage as again, I'm not saying you should do the same. You don't have to. I'm just telling you what I did that helped me adjust. Then comes training. Again, instead of forcing it during the week when I was trained or tired, I shifted it. Weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. Then one session midweek, depending on when I was working from home. Just little fixes, simple fixes. And suddenly everything felt easy, no stress, no pressure. And because it was just aligned with my life. And that's when things started clicking and it became so natural. Not because I was doing more, but because I was doing things that actually made sense. And that's what built a foundation. Because the goal was never get in shape as fast as possible. It was building something, building a body, building a physique that actually lasts. Something that becomes part of how I live. So now, based on everything I just shared with you guys, this is where you start. You should by now have your physique goals, your read patterns, and your 3 new habits that you will include in your lifestyle to get you closer to your physique goals. Again, not about getting there fast, but about building a foundation first, focusing on the pillars and doing them right. 3 simple non negotiables. Now it's just about fitting them into your lifestyle, not forcing them, but aligning them with your lifestyle. Not perfectly, but consistently enough. Because this isn't about being perfect. It's about building momentum, making better decisions every day, and slowly moving towards the version of yourself you know you can become. So this is your starting point. You already know what you need to do. The question is, are you going to do it this time? Because the difference between knowing and actually getting results is having a system that fits into your life. And listen, you can absolutely do it on your own. You can figure it out, take the time, go through the process, and still manage to build a great physique. But if you want to get there faster and skip the trial and error, I've already been through that. I know where people get stuck, especially young, aspiring professionals who want to go out there and show up being the best version of themselves. I know what works and I know what doesn't. So if you want my help, I'll look into your lifestyle, your schedule, your constraints, and build something that actually fits you, something that actually aligns with your life. Simple, structured, sustainable. So you're not guessing anymore and you're not restarting every few weeks. And you're actually moving forward and building a physique that you are proud of, a physique that not only looks good but performs like it. If that's what you need, DM me Optimize on Instagram and we'll take it from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.